Lisa sat inside the cold library, trying to regain her thoughts. All this history around her became too overwhelming. She thought back to her younger days when she was a little girl and her parents would take her here. This was a place she could always feel comfortable, a place she called her home away from home. Today, she didn't feel that safe anymore. In fact, she felt isolated, cut off from the outside world. As hard as she tried, she couldn't replay all those years of happiness inside of here. It was the same library, but something was different. Something was off about this place that she used to call home. Lisa figured she would stretch her legs a little, maybe walk around some more. It might help to clear the cobwebs out of her head. A little exercise might do her some good. It might even loosen up her mind a bit too. She began to walk around the library, and yes, she did feel a little better. Her body felt more awake, and her mind began to clear up a little. The walk was just what she needed, she thought to herself. It was exactly what she needed. As she continued to walk around the library, she began to walk up and down the aisles of the huge bookshelves that seemed to reach towards the sky. Each bookshelf housed those books that she had come to love. She would stop at the ones that were her favorites, while walking past the ones that made her afraid all those years ago when she was that young girl. It was all coming back to her now, and she was getting happy again. She was walking down one of the aisles when something made her stop. At first she thought it was a muscle cramp that caused her to stop, but her legs felt just fine. She wondered what it was that made her slow down to a halt. As she looked up towards the books she stopped in front of, she noticed that she had never seen these books before. Now she was sure that she had read every book in this library, or at least picked them up to thumb through their pages. The titles of each book on that shelf in front of her seemed rather odd to her. She glanced over the titles quickly, and yes, they were rather odd. Each book had a child's name in their title, and judging by the artwork on the covers, those children were close to the same age Lisa was when she first came to this library many years ago with her parents. Lisa wanted to pick up one of those books and look a little closer at it, but she was afraid. No, maybe it wasn't fear, but perhaps uncertainty because she didn't know what to expect. So Lisa continued to hesitate, wondering why this was such a difficult decision, she thought to herself. After all, this was her home away from home, and she had always felt safe here. Her decision was made, and she picked up that book that was closest to her. There was a little girl on the front cover, sitting alone on a broken-down swing in an empty park. The title of the book read, Sally's Waiting. As Lisa opened up the book, she looked at the first page and read it. Hi, I am Sally, and I've been waiting for you. She quickly turned the second page and read, Can we be friends? Lisa thought to herself, this is very odd, but she still decided to turn to the third page anyway. The third page read, Lisa, what is wrong? Why don't you want to be friends? Lisa dropped the book to the floor, and as it hit the ground, she could have swore she heard a little girl say, Ouch! But that can't be. This can't be happening. She began to wonder if she was losing her mind, or maybe her being sleep deprived recently is causing these hallucinations. That had to be the answer, or maybe she forgot to eat today. After all, she had a lot on her mind these days. She bent down and Lisa picked the book back up. As she was about to put it back on the shelf and walk away, curiosity got the best of her. So she decided to reopen the book once more and on to the next page. On the fourth page it read, "Thanks for picking me up, but be careful, I'm fragile. I'm a little girl, remember, Lisa?" Lisa almost dropped the book again, but this time she was able to hold on to it. She quickly turned on to the next page, the fifth one, and read, "We are all here waiting to play with you, Lisa. We watched you over all these years, starting when you were our age, and we just want to continue to be your friends." Lisa turned to the next page and read, "We know you miss your parents, and we miss them too. After all, why do you think your parents brought you here in the first place? They knew they wouldn't live forever, and they never wanted you to be alone." Tears began to flow down Lisa's face, and she became puzzled, so she asked the book a question. "Why did I never meet or see any of you before until now? I've been coming here my whole life, and this is the first time any of you have ever talked to me. Why?" Lisa turned to the next page and it read, "We were always here with you, but until today, we never had a reason to reveal ourselves to you. Do you remember what you said when you came into here today?" Lisa thought back and then turned to the next page and it read, "You were lost. You were alone. You felt isolated from the outside world, so we had to show ourselves to you. The time was finally right to reveal ourselves to you, Lisa. How do you feel?" Lisa held the book close to her chest and said, "Like that little girl who walked in here many years ago, surrounded by her loving family." You've just heard Booksmart, a short story written by John J. Ruppert, March 27, 2015. It was recorded, spoken, music and sound effects added by John J. Ruppert, August 10th, 2022. Till we meet again, be safe, be creative, and go to a library. You may run into Lisa.